Chief
Hi,
Neef, how are you doing, ma'am?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well. So you're divorced, ma'am?
I am divorced
How long you been divorced?
for about 3 years.
Okay. How old were you when you got married?
I was 21, and hold on, I need to get my remote because I'm
Okay.
watching something. So I heavily we practiced Islam, and we got married. I was 21, and he was 22. And I got divorced when I was 27. Yeah, and I'm about to be 31 now.
So he was responsible for like he was 100% responsible for everything financially when y'all got married, even while y'all were dating. When did that start?
So he was not 100% financially responsible. When we were dating, we were just, well, it's called courtship.
Mm-hmm.
So we would like date, but we never like lived together or anything before we got married. And so I don't know, we just like went out and like maybe to like a basketball game or just stuff like in the city. And then when we got married, we were living with his mom. She traveled a lot, and so she left her apartment for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I do not recall his responsibilities, but I do know that as far as like main things that she required to like keep the place intact, he did take over that.
Wait, so I mean, did y'all ever eventually get your own place, or were y'all at
Yes.
okay, when did y'all get your own place?
So I got pregnant, and then we moved out when I was about 7 months pregnant, and he covered the rent fully. I stayed at home for a year and 3 months, and I would provide things like groceries,
I'm sorry to
healthcare.
cut you off. I have a quick question. So,
Mhm.
were you working at all while you were pregnant, or were you not working?
I wasn't working.
Okay, but you had been working before, like you got pregnant.
Right. I was working before I got pregnant. I had two
Okay,
jobs before I got pregnant.
okay, so you had money,
Right.
right? Okay.
I didn't have a lot of money. I did
Hmm.
make sacrifices, so I didn't get like my nails done, and I do my own hair and stuff like that. So I did have my own little money, but it wasn't like I had a lavish lifestyle. I chose staying at home with my son because I moved to a new area and my family isn't around. So I chose that,
Right,
and he
understandable.
let me.
Right. So, you said in the comments, okay, I'm just curious. Um, so you had your baby, and did you ever go back to work? Because your child is still young, right?
So he's 8 now, and I did go back to work at 1 year and 3 months, and I breastfed him, and he wouldn't take the bottle, so it was kind of like choice and like destiny at the same time. It just happened, but after a year, I went back to work. A year and 3 months.
Okay. So when you went back to work, um, what was the dynamic like of the relationship when you went back to work? Did you have help as far as like someone looking after your child, or were you guys paying for childcare? Like how did that go?
So I paid for childcare. It was like a sister in the mosque. She didn't live too far, and she would watch him until I would get off. But okay, so he worked in the morning, and then around 3 he had to be at work. But I got off work at like 7. So
Hmm.
he would drop off my son, and then I would pick him up. But as far as like the money, I would pay for his childcare.
Okay, so when you did start going back to work and y'all had your own apartment at this point, y'all had your own place. Um, so what did the dynamics change as far as like financially, as far as like, paying the rent and whatever monthly expenses, or was he still taking care of that and you were just still covering you know, um groceries, toiletries, and paying for the child care?
Yes, so it did change. He decided that he would still pay all of the rent, and I chose to get on this live because um, I may have an opinion that may not be received the best way by most women. Or
Don't
I
don't
don't
worry,
know,
don't worry, don't worry about how they
but
feel. A lot of them never been in your situation, and most of them is never ever even going to have the opportunity to be in your situation. Don't worry about how they feel. Go ahead.
okay. So he decided to get another job, and he wanted to get another job because the MGM casino just opened and we lived like 3 minutes away. So he had a
You in
lot of
Vegas?
no, we live in DC.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but I lived in Maryland, like it was right on the line. And so, basically he had a lot of opportunities because he like did security and stuff like that. And so, he had two jobs. One was like a desk, like a concierge job, which you sit behind a desk. And then the other one was like doing security at a really big casino.
Hmm.
And so, when that happened, I took care of any responsibility that you can think of inside the home, and he just continued to pay the rent. I also paid for like my own car and like my nails, like anything that you can think of that wasn't like a rent payment. I
Yeah.
took care of it. Even the baby's clothes and stuff like that, I took care of it. Shoes, I took care of it.
Okay. So in the comments earlier, you basically alluded to that when y'all would have disagreements every now and then. You basically alluded to and insinuated that he would kind of either be controlling or like not want to hear you out because he was footing most of the financials. I don't want to speak for you, but go ahead and elaborate on that comment that you made earlier.
Okay. So and this is really big. So when I met him, he was very promiscuous, and I was kind of naive, but I didn't really know, but I knew. And then I left, and then I felt like he tried to do anything in his power to get me back, and this is where all of this like kind of comes into play. So he was willing to do whatever to get me back. And I see a comment that says he doesn't have a career job. He didn't, but hey, he basically tried whatever to get me back. And I think that in him trying whatever to get me back or to find some sort of stability with me to make me trust him, he took on responsibilities that he just flat out wasn't ready for. I don't
Mhm.
know if he's like when he started going to those jobs and stuff, he would have like women that he would, I don't know, talk to or date or flirt with or whatever it is.
Mhm.
And it's no problem that he did that. But I don't think that he valued like marriage. And I think that paying like the rent and being stuck with like a family, like I think those were things that I don't, he didn't naturally do that in the first place. He did it from a place of him wanting to be with me. So, do you kind of get where I'm going, or am I just like going
No,
too big?
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so
Um, so I'm sorry. You got married when you were 21.
21.
Okay. You know, obviously, everything happens for a reason and whatnot. But if you hindsight 2020, if you could go back, would you get married um to a man that young? And would you advise like young women today that want to be married, like women in their early to like mid 20s that want to be married, would you advise them to get married to men that are in their early to mid 20s?
So I'm glad that you asked that question. I would have to say no. I would not advise anyone to get married to a man that young. I personally feel like a mistake that I made was allowing him to do whatever he could to try to get me back, as opposed to me meeting a man that is financially stable and happy and ready for the life that he, says that he wants. So a part of
Right.
me feels like I allowed myself to manipulate, like if I when I think back on it, I feel like I manipulated the situation because I guess I didn't have the emotional intelligence to say he's not ready. He's just doing this because he knows that I'll never be back if I leave. So I would have to say no, don't. That's not okay to do. And to expect something from someone, I just turned 30 and I feel like I've just reached a level of financial stability that makes me happy.
Right.
And with that being said, I couldn't do those things on my own when I first got married. And so I also think that that's another jab at manipulation. And I'm using the word manipulation because we would, say a bunch of things about men, but when you don't have the emotional intelligence, or the people that are above you are teaching you certain things, you kind of can fuck up your life basically, or just take a wrong turn too early in life. So I definitely think that you should wait.
Um. So how y'all got legally divorced?
We did get legally divorced,
So
yes.
how old were you when you got legally divorced?
27.
And how old were you when you had your kid?
I was 22.
Okay. So after you were you were you dating while you were in the process of getting divorced, or did you wait completely until like you were like officially divorced before you started dating?
So when I was 27, no, when I was 26, I got pregnant again at like in July of
By him?
2019. And
I'm
I
sorry. Did you get pregnant by him, your ex-husband?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So I had already had a lot of feelings about my first child with him. And so I had a very negative thought process on having another child with him. And so when I got pregnant, I was like, what the fuck? I wasn't on birth control. So at the same point, I take responsibility, but I was like, oh no, this is crazy. So I was using his laptop one night and he didn't even have his messages connected to it. But I saw someone heart a message at like 12 o'clock in the morning. And so he was talking to another woman. And so I aborted the baby.
Whoa, whoa,
And
whoa, 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 whoa. Excuse me? Excuse me? What did you just say?
yeah, so we were already like having trouble, and he was like really mean. It just, I didn't like being with him, and I didn't know that that was gonna happen. We both didn't know, and we definitely weren't in a position to where we could like do anything about it. But the things that I found out made it so much more easier to just say, this is the final straw, I have to go. So I did. That's what I did. And I mean, I don't have any like shame behind it, but I did do that.
Okay.
And
Really quick. So Chief Neef, but you knew and said that you knew this man was dealing with other women like all throughout your marriage and before you saw this message, correct?
so in the beginning half, yes, but I was under the impression that he like stopped. He worked really, really hard at convincing me that he stopped. So I did believe it, and I was young, but yes, I did believe it.
Okay.
And
So, oh, go ahead.
I also didn't want to be someone that like, oh well, if you cheat on me, I'm gonna cheat back. I don't believe in doing that because of my own karma and stuff like that. So I was like, I can't do this no more, and I was like, hell no, I'm not, because I basically I was with my child. I did go back to work, but I was mainly responsible for my child. He thought that he had it so good when I was a stay-at-home mom. Like, he would walk through the door, go to sleep, get up in the morning, walk out the door. I believe that he was saying he was going to work when he really wasn't going to work.
Right.
Like, just the whole 9 yards. And
Just the typical stories, like, coming in at
yeah.
whatever time in the morning, like you said,
And he wouldn't even spend time with
leaving
the
and going
child.
whenever they want to.
Yeah. I was like, fuck that. I'm not able to do it because I'm mentally like losing myself. And so when I came in your live, I said when he was responsible for, like, when I didn't have that weight of, oh, I got to pay the rent, or, oh, I got to do this, oh, I got to do that. He would take me on dates and stuff and act completely normal. But when I was around him, I would have this eerie feeling. And when I would bring up how I feel, or he would ask me what's wrong, he would get so mad at me, like, to the point where I knew something was wrong. Like, it's just like, you're being very weird. Like, you're acting strange. He just flat out was mean as hell. Sometimes he would say, like, you can get the fuck out. Like, it'll be something small, like, can you take our son X, Y, and Z? And then it just escalates based off of his tone, his attitude, and stuff like that. And then he's like, well, you can get the fuck out. I'll get my sister to raise, just saying anything to me, like
Mm-hmm.
outlandish shit that just didn't. And I'm not going to say that I was like an angel through all of those things, because I would definitely be hurt. But it was just like his response wasn't normal. I'm like, he really doesn't want to do this. And so, I mean, what can I do but just set him free? Like, I had to kind of worry about myself.
Yeah. Did you start dating again while you were in the process of getting divorced, or did you wait until you were officially divorced from him to start
Sorry,
dating?
I didn't answer your question. So after the abortion, it was about 5 or 6 months that passed, and I didn't meet anyone until the 6th month, and I wasn't fully divorced. But when I met that person, we were very strict about being friends, and we did a music video together. So it was just like some, I'm getting back out into the world. Like, it wasn't like a video vixen type of thing like that. It was just like a
I was
chill
gonna say you
video.
did a video with Shy Glizzy.
It was not like that at all. Like, it was really fresh and just nice. It was cool vibe. But yeah, and I told the person that I met, like, hey, I'm not doing this. And yes, I did practice Islam, and I had abortion, and I would do it again if I had to.
Okay. So you started dating before you were officially divorced from your ex-husband. But I want to know, when you went back into the dating market as a 27-year-old single mother with a 5-year-old, how was that for you? How was that for you in the DMV? Like, do you think that a lot of the men, I want to know, were you someone, are you someone that's upfront? I don't know what your current relationship status is, but
Um, yeah, like, because my situation was so crumbled, I had no choice but to be upfront. I couldn't even cheat on someone that I, found out was cheating on me. So I had to tell, so I met a guy and I had to tell him, hey, this is my situation, but I was in therapy. So I spent some months in therapy. I spent some months going back to school, and I had to give that information, and it was very, very embarrassing to tell. Like, I was with him for 10 years, but we were married for 6, 7, and it was really embarrassing. Like, and through the embarrassment of me being honest, that's when I realized that, like, okay, I can't rush anything. I'm not as normal as I might think I am. Like, I'm kind of like, I have to recover. And so we made it clear that, like, we're not gonna boyfriend, girlfriend, all the extra stuff like that. It's no pressure, or we're not pressed to be that way. And he would ask me questions. He would listen to me. He believed me when I told him my situation. Um, I would stay over his house some nights. We would go places, we would walk, we would just
Did this man have a child himself?
no.
Okay. So you had whatever situation you had with this man, but the other men, when you would, do you think that being a 27, 28-year-old single mother, do you think that when you disclosed to men that, you were a single mother, do you think that that had any effect on um the light that some men saw you in? Like, did some men just keep it straight up with you and tell you that, you know what, with all due respect, like, I'm not gonna, like, date you in a serious manner because, you have a child. Do you think, this is probably like your first time even like really dating for real, because you've been with that other guy like basically your whole life to that point. But um, do you think that that had any effect at all on your experience in dating, being that you were a young single mother?
So no. And I may be like oblivious, but the the guy that I met, like I told him one day, I said, "Oh, well, I thought that we were just chilling. Like I just enjoy my time with you because I'm a mom. I have to get back and do what I do." And he was like kind of confused. He was like, "Well, no, this isn't that." And the men that like I came across, they are like, this is gonna sound funny, but they're like ready to be like a stepdad. Like
Really?
I have, I I wasn't really attracted to this guy. I mean, he was a very nice looking guy. He was very cool, but he, I remember coming to his house and he had dinner cooked and he made a plate for me and a small plate for my son. Like, I was shocked. Like, I didn't, and I just came out of something where someone tried to convince me of my worth, like, try to make it seem like, oh, ain't nobody gonna want you, or like, oh, da 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 da. And
Right.
so, like, the experience that I have had, I was shocked and it kind of brought me back to reality that, like, okay, I am worth something. Like, I am a great woman. I am a great mother, like, a great partner. Not saying that I have validation from them, but what I thought I would face, I didn't face. And that was really
Yeah.
nice.
Oh, that's, all glory be to God that you didn't have to face that. And, not because a woman is a single mother doesn't mean that she's not like a great person, or it doesn't mean that she's not a great woman. It doesn't mean that she wouldn't be a great partner. But are you under the understanding that not just men, but women as well, are you under the understanding that most childless men and women don't really have any interest in having a serious relationship with someone that already has children, even if it's just one child?
So like based off of social media, I do see a lot of women, they are a strong, heavy no on men with children. Um, but as far as like the guys, I can't say that I'm fully aware of how they may or may not want to take them serious
Really?
or not. Yeah.
Okay. So the same way that you got married very young to a young man that didn't have anything going on in his life, didn't have anything going on while you were married to him, he wasn't financially stable, didn't have a career, was not in any position to be married. Um and that's the case for a lot of young men. So, and what's going on nowadays is it's a lot of women that's, whether they're doing okay for themselves, but a lot of them are really down bad. A lot of them are just average and below average women. And I'm talking about like socioeconomically. But, they say that they want this provider man, this man that's going to, afford them a certain lifestyle, but they don't want to like date older men, right? They don't want to date men that are in their early 30s, mid 30s. They don't want to date men that, been in the workforce for 10 plus years. They already have like very much substantial savings. you know uh they probably got like a house, they probably got a couple cars. They want to date men that are their age, and they want to date men that are their age and, like, just starting their careers. They're in their entry level positions, and they want those men that are like really building their financial foundation, right? Because they just really starting to like work and like be an adult and stuff. They want to deal with those men and have those men, exert their little money that they're making. Well, because some of us not making no little money, but they want them to exert their money and their resources onto them and provide them that lifestyle. And forget about the whole money thing. You realize very quickly that your 22-year-old husband did not only want to be physically involved with you, right?
Right.
Okay,
I,
do you think a lot of younger men are so mature that, they really only want to be physically involved with one woman? Now, I'm not talking about all young men. There are some young men that, they get married right out of college, or should they even get married during college, and, they're faithful, and they're whatever their wife deems to be a stand-up man. But um I just think it's unfortunate when, you know I think it's unfortunate for women, not for men. I think it's unfortunate when these women go and get married so early, and they get
mhm,
married to these young men that treat them like trash, because first of all, these young men were not in any position to get married.
mhm,
And then these young men quickly find out once they get married that, you know what, they still want to be outside, right?
mhm.
They still want to be with, they still want to get with Kiera, they want to get with Ayana, they want to get with Kayla, they want to get with Rochelle, they want to get with Ashley. So you end up getting cheated on, and then you
Right.
go have a baby. So now when you get divorced, when you're 26, 27, like now you going back into the dating market as like a 26, 27, 28-year old single mom. And now, you're coming across all these childless men, and being that you're a single mom, you're not really looking for fling situations. You're looking for like, serious relationships. But I think that can be kind of hard for a woman that's in that position, because even though you haven't went through it, and you say that you don't really know men to not want to deal with single mothers like that. Like I said, I'm very confident in saying that a lot of childless men and women don't want to deal with other people that have kids, and they're not advised to. Do you have a son?
I do have a son.
Okay. When your son grows up, would you advise him to, like, deal with a woman that already has like a ready-made family, or would you advise him to like start his own legacy?
So to answer that question, I would have to say I would advise him to start his own family, but at the same time, to be transparent, my homegirl, she was talking to this guy and he had children. And I was telling her that, like, you kind of shouldn't shun the man away because he has children if you really like him. And I told her, like, a girl conversation that I would never admit in front of men is that you don't really know what type of father he's going to be until you have children with him. So,
Yeah, I was talking. Yeah, I said this. I was talking to someone about this not too long ago. Chief Neef, I only hear men and women that have children make that remark. I don't hear childless people say, "Well, you know what? I don't know how that woman's gonna be as a mother because she doesn't have kids. So I'm gonna go try to get with a woman that already has kids, or I don't know how that man's gonna be as a father because he doesn't have a kid. So I'm gonna go get with a man that already has a kid." I only hear people that have children make that remark. Honestly, I don't hear no child. I don't hear any childless people make that remark. But when it comes to men, do you have a preference of dating childless men, or do you want men that like do you have a preference of men that already have children?
So I would prefer a man that is experienced with children, um, whether it's your own or I don't know, like the guy that I was dating, he's an older sibling and he has a sibling that's young enough that he feels he is like a parent to. And so I'm not going to discriminate if you don't have children or if you do have children. But honestly, I don't, because I already have a child, I don't necessarily want to go through like teaching a person or having high expectations for a person just catching on to it or just getting it.
Do you have a limit? Do you have a limit that you would? Do you want to like? Is do you have a limit as far as how many kids he can have?
Yeah, I do have a limit, and I didn't know until you just asked me that, but I think that like one is enough for me, unless like maybe he left a situation where he was married to someone. But if he just have like kids, that's not really gonna work for me because that just shows like lack of responsibility if you just have a whole bunch of children with like different people and stuff like that. So
Well, what if he had two or three kids within a marriage?
I would understand that. And I don't, I guess my insecurities would lie in how I would be able to blend with the family and them respect me as like a motherly figure. It wouldn't necessarily be like, oh, he got too many kids. It would be more so like, how can I insert myself in that situation and thrive? Or like, like I would want them to like me and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, I just from the from the single mothers that I know and that I've had conversations with, a lot of them really don't have a preference of dealing with men that already have children because they say that they don't want to do the blended family thing. So I'd be like, I think it's interesting how, they want a man that doesn't have children to accept them and their child or their children and be a stepfather to them and provide for them and do everything else that, comes with assuming that role. But they don't want to do that for, a man's child or a man's children. So I think that's very interesting. I think that's very selfish. But one of my older lady friends, she's a divorcee. She has two kids herself. She told me that a lot of women that have that mindset just don't want to deal with they just don't want to deal with women that have they don't want to deal with baby mamas like themselves. So what is your response to that? And I want to know why you wouldn't advise a young woman to get married to like younger men.
So, my response to my apologies, would it be the part about women not wanting to blend with another family?
Yeah, I want to know what your thoughts are on single mothers that have a preference of dealing with childless men because they don't want to do blended families.
Oh, I think that that mindset, I guess I couldn't really speak on it heavily because I am willing to like blend families, but I think to already have children of your own, but stand at a selfish, like, well, you said something else too. You said that they don't want to deal with baby mamas like themselves.
Yeah.
And that stood out to me because the type of, like, my son's father has another son. He's one. And when I got the opportunity to meet the son's mother when she was pregnant, she was very rude to me. Like, she didn't want to say hi, but I was so excited to meet her and congratulate her on the new baby. And I wanted I don't know what the fuck I was thinking, but when I met her, I was just completely wrong. And that hurt because at the end of the day, I'm happy that, they're having a baby, and I'm happy that my brother gets another sibling. I mean, my son gets another sibling because I wasn't having no more children. But
That's another thing. Are
I
are you are you are you interested in having another child?
if I'm in a situation where I feel like things are safe, I'm a Cancer. If I feel safe enough to do so, then I may be open to it. But I'm also getting older, so I don't really know.
Yeah, so the
But
answer the answer is no. The answer is no. And that's another thing. A lot of single mothers, when I ask them, like, okay, so are you, whether they got one child or whether they got two or three, when I ask them, like, so do you want to have do you want to have more children? It's always, well, if I get married again and my husband wants to have one, I'll consider it, but I'm not really trying to have any more children.
yeah,
So
like
so I'm trying to, from a man's perspective, from a childless man's perspective, that's going to be coming into you and other women's lives that already have children. A man that's going to actually want, his to have his own seed as well. Most of these women aren't even trying to have any more kids, but they want these men to come into their lives and raise their kids, right? They want them, like, you want a man to come into your life and, take care of you and your son, start putting college savings together for your son, have him on the basketball teams, have him on the football and the baseball teams, buy him Jordans, buy him video games, like, but you don't even want to have a child for that man. So, like, what is he getting out of it at the end of the day? And then when the morning you wake up and decide that you don't want to be with him anymore, after all those years of him investing into you and your child, what is he getting out of it?
so that makes a lot of sense from your perspective. I would have to say
And
that.
I'm not trying to be facetious, Chief Neef. I'm just genuinely asking.
I mean, I never really thought about it that way because I am open to men with children, or I am open to someone that is like ready for marriage. I don't necessarily want to date an older man, like 50, but
Mm-hmm.
I do want to, I don't want to force another man. I don't want to push anything. And I'm also not like just vibes either. So I am open to a lot of different things, but when you explain it in that way, I would have to say that that man would miss out on his own development as far as what he sees for his future when it comes to his own family. He would just miss out on it. And I guess in the name of love, or I
Right.
don't know,
Right.
that would be my answer to that question.
So do you are you are is you not wanting to have any more kids? Like, just be 100% honest. Is you not wanting to have any more kids part of the reason that you are interested in dealing with men that already have kids, because you don't want to have a child again?
So, a part of me would like a daughter, but because the relationship with my mother is so strained, sometimes I feel insecure about how I would be if I was to have a daughter of my own. So I would feel immense guilt or not really knowing. I mean, I know you don't do the wrong thing, but just because I've never experienced that, I do have a certain amount of fear on what I would do if I was to have a daughter of my own. And so sometimes I feel like if I meet a guy and he already has a daughter, I can be like the best step parent, or, I could blend and love her like my own and just, but I don't know. Like, I guess my fear is it would be more so like insecurity within myself. Um, so
I understand. I hear
I
you.
don't
What what
know.
what what's the age demographic that you date these days?
So the oldest that I've ever dated was 31. The youngest when I was I think I was talking to a guy that was like a year or two younger than me, but he had a career and
Right.
he had everything together. But I I haven't really dated, older or anything like that.
So I'm asking you, like, what is the youngest you would date, and what's the oldest you would date right now?
So the youngest would have to be like maybe a year or two younger. And then the oldest I would have to say maybe 38.
But you don't really want to date an older man, right?
Yeah, like I'm not the most interested in dating an older man.
And why is that? Because I just want to know why women say that they want certain things, but they don't want to go deal with the men that can provide them those certain things that they want right now.
So I was thinking about this because a guy, he was much older and like, he tried to, I guess, talk to me or something. I don't really know what it was called, but he tried. I don't know if he was just being nice, so I'm not going to say that he was like a certain way to me, but he mentioned that he has daughters and his daughters were like around my age. And a big part of me doesn't want to love a person and fight for, like, is it genuine, or like having to deal with daughters my age not really understanding why I'm here, or I don't want my love to be perceived as me praying over someone that has it all together. Like, that's something that I would be insecure again about dealing with. Like, I just don't, I'm not interested in like being a step parent to someone that is my age.
I totally get that. I totally understand that.
I don't want to fight with, like, I feel like relationships are already hard. So I don't really want to do that. That's not cute. I mean, to me.
So what are some basic standards that you have? You said you're 30 years old?
Yeah, I'm 30. I'll be 31 this year.
What are some basic standards that you have in men nowadays that you clearly didn't have before?
So my number one standard would have to be growth. And the reason why I say growth, that sounds stupid, whatever. But when I got divorced, I didn't have shit. Like, I didn't have a job that would pay me enough money to move out. I literally didn't have anything. But I worked really, 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 really hard to change my life within a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to get my own apartment. I was able to maintain my own car. I was able to do a career pivot into where I am now. And none of that would have happened without a vision and hard work behind that vision. Like, I can't look at any man and say, you better have this, 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 because I came from nothing. I didn't have shit. So if he doesn't have any like type of vision for himself and he doesn't have any type of plan behind the things that he wants to see come into fruition, like, I can't deal with that. And the reason why I say that is because when I think about relationships and I think about men, you can go out today and meet the most perfect man in the world and he has everything together and a perfect career, and his ass slip and fall at work and he's injured and they deem it a case where he doesn't get workers' comp, and now you're dealing with a, you get the mindset of you seeing this man laying around all day and he's just not making anything happen. Like, you never know what can happen. That's why I believe intention is really, really important. He has to have characteristics of his own that'll push him through like any situation.
So if you met a 30-year-old man tomorrow that was he work at Dunkin' Donuts in the morning Monday through Friday, and he wait tables at Benihana's in the evening, and he's a bartender on the weekend, but he has his own car, he probably got like a little studio apartment. Would you date a man like that?
Yes, I would.
When?
I would
When? He has 3 jobs.
I would date him. And the simple fact on why is, if I like him, I would have to figure out what type of like what level the relationship is at. Like, am I looking for like marriage in a couple of years? Like, what am I doing? If we can have fun together when we can, because I'm still a mom at the end of the day, I wouldn't turn him down. I wouldn't be like, oh well, he just never has time. He can't do this, he can't do that. I can make anything happen because I've done it before.
So
Chief,
you telling me that you would date a man that you make more money than and significantly more money than.
Yeah, I would.
Chief,
Wow.
Chief, wait, Chief.
Yes.
This man has 3 jobs. So you got to work around those 3. Like, you could text with him. I could see how you could, he could in between, maybe on his ride, if he's taking an Uber or something like that, he could text with you. But this man, between sleeping and working 3 jobs, I don't see him having time for a relationship, a meaningful one. Like, the way he described it, this man is working, everywhere. When does he have time for a relationship?
I think it's
And you've got to work around your own child schedule.
and so I guess I kind of didn't put like emphasis. Like right now, I do live alone, and I am the type of person that, and I'm not saying that like I would go after the guy with 3 jobs, but it wouldn't be something that I would just turn down. Like I don't know the type of job that I have. I work 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. So I kind of, it would be nice if you were doing something with
So
your time.
you work like 60 to 70 hours a week right now.
So not right now, but I could easily get a notice tomorrow and then I would be in a position to where I'm just working.
Okay. I want to ask you one more question before I let how you say your name, ma'am?
Shavazier.
Shavazier. Um So a lot of these women be talking about, they be putting emphasis on men's finances because, black women in 2023, a lot of them, a man's character, his personality, his ethics, his morals, how he's going to treat like the woman as a person, all of that is at the bottom of the totem pole. They want to know about what his current financial status is, and they want to be able to predict, what he can do for them right now and what he's possibly going to be able to do for them going forward in the future, and then they'll figure out all that other stuff later. So I say that to say, they be putting so much of an emphasis on finances, but they don't real I don't even know if they don't I don't want to speak for them, but some of them it's like, they think that they think because they, again, like a lot of these women be down bad. So they think that, a man that make um a lot of men that make 6 figures is just working 40-hour a week jobs. Like they not working 60 plus hours a week. Like they not working jobs that demand a lot of their time. So I
Can I
say that
share
to
something?
say a lot of them be thinking that they want something that they really don't want, and that's not going to ultimately make them happy at the end of the day, because they think they correlate that man's finances to a certain lifestyle, and just they think things are going to be a certain way, but that's not really how it's going to be. It's not really how it's going to go. You know what I'm saying?
Can I chime in?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, because I have had the experiences that I've shared with you, and I have dated a man in a career. I have dated a man. Was married to a man that didn't necessarily start out with his career. I am at a point in my life now where I don't ask how much a man makes, and I know that that sounds crazy. But I don't want to know. And the reason why I don't want to know is because I have seen a lot of things. I've seen a man do things with his money that he is 100% rightfully able to do with his money, even if it goes against responsibilities for the family. The only thing that I worry about is myself. I don't and the reason why, it may be out of trauma, but to be honest, a person can do whatever the hell they want to do with their money. And it's best that you literally wake up and get your shit together, because if he dies and y'all aren't married, y'all just dating, you still have to figure out a way to cover yourself and your children. And that's something that I learned. I will see everything that I need to see based off of just being around him and how he treats himself, how he treats his own dreams, his own visions. Like, you'll gain a lot of information about a man without coming at him from a point of what can you do for me. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't not do anything for you. I'm just saying that the right man, it'll be a lot of natural things that will happen. Your intention is everything when you date someone. And I don't know, I think that's really important.
Shavazier, go ahead and chime in, Shavazier.